Alright, Shalom. Before I get started, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Recha Kwadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and who are the true leaders of Israel today. Start with Elder Pasha Tahar on down. I also like to give double honor to the head and the elder of the Men of Israel camp, the Chazak, whom I teach under down here in Greenville, South Carolina. And I also like to give another shout out to you, Sit Akim, you brothers out there that's pushing this word and this truth in all sincerity and righteousness in these last days. Alright, and I also like to give another shout out to you Israelite foreigners that's looking like the other heathen nations causing confusion. Coming back to our heritage in these last days. To y'all, like to say shalom. Alright, and I'm coming back to the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem B'Shai with another exhortation video. And Lord willing, this video will be found edifying. And I'm gonna do my Songs of the Day video. Alright, well, I pick a scripture out of the book of Songs and break it down. Alright, and Lord willing, it'll be edifying. You know, the songs that I chose to do today was in the book of Psalms, the 78th chapter, verses 5 through 8. Pretty much to prove that, you know, that the Lord only gave us the law. Alright, and this is scripture that you can use, alright, to confound a Christian that like to say, you know, that the Lord deals with all nations, and, you know, that they could sin, and because the Lord say otherwise, man. Right, and we know that the Lord don't change. You know, so let's jump straight into it, man. You know, we ain't gonna make this too long. Straight to the point. It's the book of Psalms 78 and verse 5. And it says, for he established a testimony in Jacob. Now we already know who Jacob is. Jacob is the forefather, is the father of the 12 tribes. Alright, which, you know, Judah on down to Issachar, man. Those are Jacob's, you know, sons, right? So it says, for he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel. You see that? And by the way, Jacob's name was later changed to Israel. So it says, and he appointed a law in Israel. You see that? So the law was only given to the nation of Israel. So that means what? Only the nation of Israel can sin, man. How can you sin if you wasn't ever given it? If you weren't never given the law? Because what is sin? Sin is what? The transgression of the law. So you would have needed the law, right, to be able to sin. You see? So it says he appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children. And that's something we didn't do, man. Alright, we didn't make known the law, statutes, and commandments to our children. Well, our parents, you know, look, dumbasses. But anyway, our forefathers, you know, me personally, I'm just speaking on my behalf. My mama didn't teach me the law of Yahweh Hashem B'Shai, man. You see? Even going back to her mama, you know, so forth on. You know, but now that I got kids, you know, I got to teach my kids, you know, the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Hashem B'Shai, and to keep them to the best of their ability on this side, you know. But I'm just saying, like, we didn't keep it from generation to generation back then, you know. Now we starting to do that. The brothers who woke up, and not even just the elect, but you even got, you know, Jakes that know that they're Israelites, and you know they try to keep the commandments too. You know, that's the Lord bringing His Spirit back on the earth. You know, that's righteous. But anyway, it says that they should make them known to their children. You see, verse 6, that the generation to come might know them. That's the point. If we wouldn't have been in this condition, if we would have taught, you know, our children, right, what to do and what not to do. what commandments Yahweh Shem Shah don't like? You know? I mean, Salah, what he don't like and what commandments he want us to keep. I ain't meant to say what commandments he don't like. But we talking about wickedness, what he want us to do and what he don't want us to do. That's the reason for the commandments, the laws. So it says that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who shall arise and declare them to their children. And that's talking about the elders, right? Right? The elders, apostles, great millstone, and the man who woke up in the 07 era, and to now, we're making it known, to our children. Hey, we telling our children, like, hey, you can't. Well, my child ain't old enough, but when they get that understanding, we tell them, like, hey, you can't eat pork. While you in our household, first and foremost, you can't eat pork. You can't eat no shrimp. You can't commit no adultery. Things like that. Celebrating other gods. We ain't gonna tolerate that, man. So it says, who should arise and declare them unto their children. Verse 7. It says that they might set their hope in Yahweh and not forget the works of Yahweh, but keep his commandments. See? It says, but what? But keep his commandments. That's what we're going to do. We're going to try to keep his commandments to the best of our ability, man. Now, we know we ain't going to be able to keep it 100%, but the scriptures tell us to what? Rehearse the righteous acts. So that's what we're going to try to do while we in this captivity, because, we can't control all things. There are some things we're going to fuck up on, but the whole point is to rehearse, man. Practice it. Verse 8, it says, it might not be as their fathers, a stubborn. See, that's the point. We're not trying to be like our forefathers. It says what? It might not be as their forefathers, their fathers, a stubborn and a rebellious generation. A generation that set not their heart, meaning their mind, they loud, aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with Yahweh. You see that? We're not trying to be like our forefathers, man. We want to be better than our forefathers, man. You see, that's like I said, our forefathers the reason we in this captivity now, because they disobedient. We wouldn't have been in this condition if we weren't celebrating these other gods, worshiping these other gods, and, doing what Yahweh Shem Shah told us not to do. We wouldn't have been in this condition, man. But because we disobeyed, now we got to be in captivity. Now we got to be the tail. Now we got to be on the bottom and be oppressed. So now that's why we're trying to turn back and keep the commandments, and do what we got to do so we can get out of this punishment, this hellhole, So that's pretty much my songs of the day. All right, Lord willing, it was edifying. I'm going to close it with giving all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rachakodash. Double honor to the elders, apostles, and great millstone who rule well and teach well, and who are the true leaders of Israel today. Stop with elder apostle on down. Double honor to the head and the elder, the man of Israel camp, the Chazak, whom I teach in the Dahan Green Bay, South Carolina. And Shalom to you, Akim.